And people are no longer focusing on your pitch. They're not thinking about all these other things. So make sure that you're grounded, right? Don't stand like this. Right? You're grounded. You're moving enough to show that you actually care about what you're talking about, right? You're going to have your judges there, right, and your people there. The problem is most of us trying to do this. So what we're talking about is basically, this is quite interesting, and I'm looking at all of you right now, right? It's important, yes, to have eye contact with these people, but it depends on your pitch. Who's more important here? Is it the judges or is it the people? If it's the judges, look at your judges. Like, don't look at them as like this, like, if you don't choose me right now, I'm going to look for you and I'm going to kill you. You know, look at them, be smiling. Your judges are also going to, because it's a different conversation that you're having, right? You have the verbal conversation. Then there's this subliminal, body language-based conversation. I mean, there are people that you have talked to that you know are friendly to talk to, right? They just, you feel nice talking to them, right? Then there are other people who are too touchy-feely. Jabo, how are you, man? It's nice. Interesting. It's body language. Jabo might be listening to what I'm talking about, but the other language, it's scaring him away. So you have to look at that. If you're talking to your judges, smile. Don't focus too intensely on one person, because then it becomes awkward, right? So you talk to this person, she smiles, you smile, you look at some people, you look back at your judges. Make sure you're communicating with the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, and okay, since we started, I've been trying to capture each and every single person in this audience. Just have a second of them of eye-to-eye contact. That's where it is, and try and personalize it. It makes somebody feel as though you're talking to them in particular. So I think I managed to make eye contact with about half the people in here so far. I'm still waiting for the other half. Please look at me so that I can capture the rest of you guys. And then make sure that your hand gestures are very intentional as well. You want them to be over-elaborate. And then you want them to be intentional so that they are helping you drive a point. Don't, so what I'm saying is this, I mean, sometimes when you do this, it's one of those cases that people think that you're now dragging point home. So you cannot, so let's say I'm walking home, and then after I get into a home, you see, I mean, so each and every thing that I'm saying is very important.
Too many points now.
Too many points being driven home. So, and of course, don't be over elaborate. Like, for example, you have a slide there, and you want to take people's attention onto the slides. So, for example, I know I was probably doing this a bit earlier wrongly, but it's one of those things that we've taught at Africa. You cannot. So, for example, what I'm saying is this. I mean, of course, you're taking people's attention towards that, but it's a little too elaborate for the people's culture to do. So, you want to be something that's a bit more subtle and more elaborate. Just make sure that it's not too animated.
Yeah. Too much wizard, yes?
When it comes to presenting facts and figures, like, how do you present facts and figures without, like, how do you present them and keep them interesting and compelling? So my question is, like, when you're presenting facts and figures, how do you present them without getting bored and without losing the audience? Like, if you're trying to keep your hand gestures and like all that interesting and still being serious at the same time. So how do you do this in a pitch?
You want to take it on? Alright. So, she's talking about figures, and figures are important because they show that you've done your research, right? But make sure that your pitch is not about facts. Even if it's your deck, I highly encourage you, and I think we'll send out a few samples like the document that we had out there, right? Don't write 2 paragraphs on your deck. Because what's going to happen is your people are going to start reading this and not listening to you. So your figures need to support what you're saying. So you're talking about something, you bring out a figure, right? Go back to what you're talking about. We're not here to do like a statistical report or an analysis like that. Don't overuse facts. It's almost as though now you're hiding something. Fact. Nothing else. All that we've been told is that there are X number of people who are unemployed, Y number amount that is being used. So make sure that they're complementing your presentation.
Yeah, I think the important thing is to know that you're putting the figures up there, you're talking about those figures to make a point. You're not making a point that your market is very big or things like that. So I think that you should try and remember that maybe it's just a bar chart there that's comparing your market compared to maybe different markets across the world and things like that. Make sure that at the end of the day, what you're just trying to warm is the fact that our market is gigantic. And that's the big point you have to focus on.
example would be your financials, and this was being called, so when I was working at Base Ventures, my supervisor called it the Chinese syndrome. So you're talking about your financials, like, so basically the population is 1 billion people, and then if we offer our product at 10% at 1 cent, basically we're going to be millionaires, right? You just talked about figures, and you haven't shown that you're actually talking about how it's going to work, which kind of people and things like that. And the other thing, I think, to answer the gentleman's question about what not to do about presentation, for some reason, Zimbabweans, we were taught that for PowerPoint to work, it needs to have transitions and animation. Too much, and then it flies in and things like that, right? Let's stay away from wizard, ladies and gentlemen. Right? We're not here to show people that we can design things. What we actually do at Neolab when we're building decks, and if you can ask some of these guys, the first deck that you build, it has to be in black and white. Black text, in Times New Roman or Arial, no fancy curled things, right? On a white background. Because we're trying to focus on your content, right? Once you have your content, it's looked down. You have 2-3 lines per slide, right? Then now we can talk about, let's make the background black so that it's looking nice, and let's put a logo there. Whereas most people want to put picture, pie chart, transition, and things like that. It's distracting, right? Remember, this is about you and your product, not how good or how much you can hire a designer to actually put all these things across.
Yeah, indeed. If you ever check out the Saisai Demafka pitch that won the Soul of Vision Award last year, we basically only had one slide that is our logo on it. So we just went up there, we put up our logo on top of the slide there, and then there was nothing else. I saw there was a headline question. Yeah, sure.
Is it on? Yes, yeah.
Thank you very much. I had a question directly targeted to Neolab, because I was there when you guys first pitched, like the first time you pitched.
4 years ago.
4 years ago, yes. I think it was at the Boost competition, entrepreneurship corner. When you guys were going up on stage, everyone had this whole Neolab uniform thing going on, and Jabu was on the PC with the slides, and you were up there with Mike. But then when I saw you guys at demo, it was like you were very informal. No one had any uniform thing going on. So, like, that's the impression that I got.
Okay.
So my question is, should we dress according to formality, or should we dress according to the product that you're trying to present, or how should we dress when it comes to pitching to the judges?
Oh, okay. Actually, at demo after we had a uniform on. If I didn't know, we were all pretty much Saisai shirts, button pinned up to the top, no tie, khaki pants, and then the Saisai shoes, they're green and
Blue and green.
they're pretty badass. So yeah, I think one of the things is that one of the things that we're trying to sell the most is the team itself. Our like ability, getting ourselves liked by the judges or by the investors and all these things. So we are always thinking about how to dress appropriately for the kind of audience we're looking at. So the thing about Saisai is a very, very technically intense product. It is, I mean, if I start talking about the side, so what we went for with Demafco was going for a geek look that says, hey guys, we're nerds. We know what we're talking about, we have the engineering ability to go for this. So we dressed up like nerds, got top balance, pin on, and all those things. And then it was basically just going on with the kind of team look and feel and impression we're trying to create before the investors were going to meet up. And yeah, I mean, but although it's, most of the time for us it's very important that we dress in uniform so that we're easily recognizable. Like the shoes, the blue shoes were intentional because blue shoes stand out. I mean, khaki pants, white shirt, and blue shoes. It kind of stands out, and that's one of the things. We want it to be very easy and noticeable because Demo Africa is just gigantic. There's so many all over the place. So you just want to have that one thing that people can notice about you. Like Martin is a fashion guy. He calls it peacocking, where you have this fashion accessory that you have that just makes you stand out. It could go all day long when you try and peacock, but for us it kind of worked for us. It made us very noticeable and stand out from the crowd.
Remember, all the stuff that we're talking about, this is not generic stuff, right? So you can't, there's no single template with regards to how to pitch. You're all pitching different products. You are all very different people, and we talked about being genuine, right? So Java and Martin, these are very crazy people, right? They will literally do very crazy things. And so that's the reason why they pulled that off. And it worked because it was in sync with their personality, right? What you're talking about it at Boost Up, at the Boost Fellowship in 2011 or something like that. Basically what we were looking for, because I remember our competition, we're like part one kids, and our competition, the guys who've been working, in the radio space for all these months and years, and they basically had everything else working for them. So we needed to look for one thing that would make people remember us, right? So the way we did everything, even coming up here, we thought, look, we play the music and stuff, it might come across as being a bit proud and pompous. So it's always a coin toss, right? You want to do something that will make sure people remember. You're like, those guys with the song at the beginning of the presentation, I remember those guys. That's what you're looking for. But make sure that it doesn't work against you. Like, what does that? Make sure it's within, keep it here, right? Let's not go overboard. But you want people to remember you. That's the whole point. There are 40 of you guys. What's going to make me, if I'm the one who's voting, why am I going to remember Tawana and not you, right? Or you? What is that thing? Maybe it's how I look, maybe it's how I talk, maybe it's how I put my presentation, maybe it's how I put my banners. But that's the whole point. Because again, if you say guys, uniform is the way to go, then everyone is going to be uniform. And loses the whole point.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we just skip through the other things?
Okay, my question is on being technical during your pitch. Now, let's say you're selling an engineering product, and the person that you're pitching to, is an engineer. You go to the technical aspects that he understands, and that will help you sell your product. But now, in fact,